actually come forth.
I mean, it's no spoiler alert. Disco Demolition, got blown up. That is what happened.
The whole point of it.
So, and I mean, if you think about the security we have nowadays, this would never happen in today's age. It is unreal, in fact, that, this could even happen, which brings us to the whole point of this, which is like, what kind of inspired looking into all these topics. Who approved this?
Who did it?
That's all. End of video.
Okay, bye guys.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's what, I think even now if you look at the security to get into games like this, or when we went to the Blue Jays game, which you will see in a video.
Stay tuned.
It's gonna be there. Hi Liz.
Hey Liz.
But yeah, personally, our security wasn't that crazy, but they got metal detectors. They have all this stuff to protect the area that you're going into, and I think that a lot of that was probably rooted in an event like this that shook the baseball sports world at the time.
Yeah, they definitely weren't prepared for the
destruction.
Traffic.
Yeah.
That they
brought in. And with today's crowd control, that would never happen. Okay, so last night we learned about Steve Dahl in this documentary, and he's the guy that they invited to come and, I don't want to say perform, but come and speak at the Disco Demolition Night. And so he's kind of in the same boat as Howard Stern. Super controversial, might I add. And in the words of people he interviewed in the documentary, he is super obnoxious and outrageous in general.
Yeah.
Now, his main fan base consisted of 16-year-olds, okay? These are teenagers, children, right? And you can really see it in the crowd in a lot of the pictures that they put up for the disco, or that they took of the Disco Demolition Night.
Was it more women or men?
There was a mix, of course, but it was mostly men. And, well, I guess not men, boys. But
we all know, teenage boys and sort of
rowdy and negative connotations to what I'm looking for.
Well, also kind of aggressive. They have pent up energy.
Yeah.
They hear about something like this.
And they jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of the manosphere that we have nowadays with TikTok and other social media, where you see one male leader, in a sense, and he's garnered a group of impressionable minds, and it completely changes the way parts of that generation think.
Yeah.
Right? And so we're seeing that in full effect in this Disco Demolition Night. And so the audience of this game that they brought out because of the Disco Demolition was a group of impressionable teenage boys who hated disco, brought together by a kind of culty, cult leader.
Yeah.
Cult leader. And so with a group like that and a speaker that held that much power over his fan base, he brought out about 35,000 people to the game, which for that time and for the White Sox at that time especially was really big for them, right?
Yeah. For a team, like we were illustrating before, like the Chicago White Sox, who doesn't necessarily have kind of those strong attachments to the players themselves, but rather to the team and kind of the idea and the brand of the team itself. Deeply led by Mike Beck.
Yeah.
Right? That is kind of why. And so 35,000 people become significant for that reason.
Yeah, exactly. And the craziest thing too is that not only was it 35,000 people, but it was the youngest crowd that they had ever seen at that stadium.
Yeah.
All in one game. And by the first pitch, the numbers of the crowd had actually grown to 60 to 65,000 people. And 40,000 people were outside of the stadium actively trying to get in. Like, I'm talking climbing on the walls, like stacking on each other, grappling hooks were confiscated. It's just, that would, well, I hope that would never happen nowadays. Let me not jinx us, but like, that's unheard of for today's time. This group, or like this crowd, and the amount of people that they brought in actually beat the World Series attendance numbers.
Wow.
Which, all because people hated disco, or this group of people hated disco so much, right? And so in the city, it even backed up traffic for, I think, like 17 miles, they were saying.
Wow. And
the city was in gridlock because of what was going on that event day. Yeah. A factor of it that brought people out was that people were getting into the stadium for 99 cents if they brought a disco record with them. And they would stack them up in these boxes whenever people would hand them in to get their entrance fee, or like to be able to enter the stadium. And they were going to use these records for something a little explosive.
You know, I'm sure that this like group of young boys, especially like a decent amount of the group, actually did, you know, hate disco. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure that another huge portion of it maybe either was impartial, didn't really care, or maybe they even liked disco. But the idea of blowing things up as a teenage boy, watching it live at a baseball game, I mean, like, that is something that I would go see.
I would go
you know,
too.
like, it's
you
just
don't want
like,
to miss out on that.
You hear it and you're just like, I can't not go see this. So, yeah.
I would go. Personally.
Me too.
But I think when we were watching the video of it itself and seeing what it turned into, it looked like a nightmare to be in there. Like, I would have an anxiety attack.
I mean, yeah, it was quite scary. Like, people got out of control. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, it's inevitable at baseball games that people are going to get way more intoxicated. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure that they said that people were openly smoking weed in the stadium as well.
Yeah, they were drinking, have it
there's like 100,000 people both in the stadium and in the surrounding areas and combined, right? Like, as we're going to talk about in a little bit, that is an uncontrollable audience unless that's something that you're prepared to do. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm sure that originally they thought that they were going to bring in about the 35,000 people, right? Like, they thought that they were going to get a great turnout for their standards, not what it became. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, baseball fans get rowdy. They heckle the players, they sing, they dance, but they ultimately have a good time. Yeah. Like, vibes are always strong. I mean, we went there, we saw people dancing, people, like, always, you know, like, they find chanting, really fun people.
It's just fun.
Yeah, they find really fun people in the crowd who are just having a great time. They show them on screen, everybody else in the crowd gets hyped, but, like, in a civilized way.
Yeah, not to this extent.
No.
Yeah.
So they ultimately ended up collecting 20,000 records, right? Mm-hmm. And blew it up. Ooh. 250,000, 250 feet.
That would be insane. More insane than it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Mind you, this is between games, so they were going to have they already had played their morning game, or like mid-afternoon game, and they were going to move on to the evening game. So out of hand that people ran onto the field after, you know, the explosion. You know, during the explosion, all of the debris was flying around everywhere. They're destroying all the bases, you know.
Ripping them up,
and people number one, like we were saying earlier, security wasn't the same as it is now, and also people were crawling into the stadium, so we don't actually know what they were bringing into the stadium.
Exactly. And so, like, even with what you're saying about the security, in the documentary they mentioned that when Mike and his father Bill were talking to the police before they had the crowd showing up, just to kind of like the regular crowd control thing.
Yeah.
They were telling them, yeah, we're expecting around like 30,000 people.
Yeah.
And the police laughed in their face and was like, yeah, right, 30,000 people. And it exceeded way more than that.
Yeah.
So you can tell they were completely unprepared for the amount of people that they had in the stadium and outside.
And so you can imagine all of these people who, you know, at this point, these aren't baseball fans. The vibe is completely off. People are just taking it to a whole nother level and making the experience that was, you know, once supposed to be kind of inspired, like a son's inspired idea of turning things around and doing the opposite and going against the grain kind of thing, into something that was ultimately very traumatic.
Yeah. It was really sad for to watch his dad go through it too, because it was heavily recorded. There's videos and pictures of it all over.
There's this really sad moment where Bill is surrounded by chaos. You know, the field is completely overrun by fans, just completely destroying it. And all Bill wants to do is get back to the baseball game that they were supposed to play, this evening game, right? He's singing to them. He's like begging them to get back into the seats. It's like a very heartbreaking scene, especially knowing how much this affected him ultimately. These people weren't even baseball fans. Like, they were completely disrespecting the whole point of this, which was ultimately like all he really wanted was to get people to attend the games.
Yeah, and to watch the team and like to enjoy the game of baseball.
Have a good time. Like what the disco salute was supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it was such a sad image to watch with this little old man, like, surrounded by all these people, tearing up the field that he had put so much money into preparing and getting
maintaining.
Right, all his time and money. Like, this was his life.
It was his dream, too.
Yeah. And it was just torn up.
Yeah.
Really sad.
Demolished, if you will.
Yeah, and so his team, he even had to sell the team, I think a year later, a year or two.
Yeah, and like, I mean, could be wrong, but I think that there was a line in there that was like, and the last day of that he owned the team was the last day I think he ever stepped foot in that stadium.
Yeah.
I don't think, like, he couldn't bring himself to go back.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, his son felt an incredible amount of guilt. So disco wasn't just music, it was a movement amongst the African American community, amongst